In today's episode of A Day in the Life of a Realtor, I want to talk to you guys about why sellers should schedule utilities to be turned off the day after closing. So last week I had a couple of final walkthroughs with buyers, and the purpose of a final walkthrough is to make sure that all the repairs that the buyers and sellers agreed upon in the post-inspection agreement have been fixed, that there's no personal property left behind, and that all the mechanicals and appliances left behind are in normal working order. So when moving, a lot of sellers think it makes sense to schedule the utilities to be turned off the day of closing. And I completely understand their reasoning behind that. But do not do that. Do not do that. If you are a seller, schedule the utilities to be turned off the day after closing. Why? Because it's important that the utilities are kept on until we close. And if you call Ameren to have the power turned off, you can't schedule a time. It's just whatever time they get out there. And it's the same with the water company. So last week I had a couple of final walkthroughs with buyers, as I said, and with one of my buyers, we showed up the day before closing to do our final walkthrough. We got there and there's so much personal property left behind, furniture and boxes everywhere. It was hard to even walk around the house. So we checked on the items that were supposed to be repaired, but it was obvious, we'd have to come back to do another final walkthrough the next day before closing to make sure that all the stuff had been dealt with and there wasn't any damage. So we came back the next day and the power was off. We couldn't test the heat, the appliances, etc. So if my clients had wanted, we could have delayed closing until we were able to do a sufficient final walkthrough with power. However, since we were just there the day before, these buyers were fine moving forward with the closing. Granted, if you are a buyer, call to have the utilities transferred to your name in advance, effective the day of closing. Had that happened, there would not have been a lapse in power. But there was a lapse of power, and whenever there's a lapse of power, it falls on the seller. So schedule it for the next business day after closing to prevent any final walkthrough issues.